Hey gang, Ronin here. As you can see in this game, I'm playing the Tier 7 Italian cruiser Gorizia. The matchmaking, well, it's decent. It's not a uh, it's not a horrible matchup. There are a lot of destroyers, which actually works well for Gorizia in a lot of cases. You can see Gorizia has 3 hydro. It's got a spotter plane for long-range firing, and it does have the what I call the emergency escape smoke of the Italian cruisers, which is kind of handy, and you can use it in a variety of different ways. And I'll get a chance later to kind of go over that. Now, where have I been? You may be wondering if you're one of the 3 or 4 people that actually followed my videos regularly. Well, life gave me a pretty serious kick in the teeth earlier in the year. If you've been watching the videos, you're aware of that. And then got really, really busy in a lot of other ways. And at the same time, just kind of coincidentally, I guess, the game itself has changed significantly, and I just honestly find myself not enjoying it as much. I kind of have to be in the mood to play it, whereas before it was kind of a daily habit. And why am I playing the Gorizia? Well, I just, I don't know, glutton for punishment. I hadn't played it for a long time, and I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to give it a whirl. And you can see early in the game, the Lexi decides to pick on me, and I'm just going to move close as I can to these battleships, because the AA on this ship is, well, it's far from good. I'll just try to mitigate the damage here and not show any broadside. And hope none of their battleships decide to pick on me from here. Now, I hated this ship when it first came out. I mean, I got it and I thought, okay, cool, you know, new ship, new line, new toy to play with. You know, we've all been through that. If you've been playing this game any length of time, you know what I'm talking about. And I wanted to like this ship. You know, when the Duke at Aosta came out, I bought that ship, and you know, I think it's fair to say it was a little bit of a disappointment. It's fun to play. It's really fast. It's sleek. It kind of looks like, you know, a Ferrari or a Maserati compared to a lot of other ships. It's a beautiful piece of art, but the ship itself, it's very squishy. It's got its issues. It's, you know, it's not that it's terrible or anything like that, but it wasn't what I hoped for. But these SAP shells, I really put a lot of hope in the, you know, what will those be like? How great can that be? And anyhow, they are devastating against destroyers. Now you can see I misjudged the placement of those shells. Only landed 2, but still significant damage. Destroyers just don't have the HP to give it away. And this guy, he made mistakes that cost him his ship early. And just as he's dying, you could see the Kagero pop up in the Bravo cap. Now, I was aware that there was somebody in there, but I didn't have eyes on him until too late. Now, I'm going to put shells out ahead of this guy because I have a feeling he's going to accelerate forward. Turns out I was wrong, but, you know, what are you going to do? Now, these shells are not particularly fast. Let me tell you a little bit about this ship. Let's just pop out here. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the basics of the ship. They're 203s, so they do a lot of damage. The maximum AP shell damage is 4,800. It's 5,050 on the SAP shells, so you can really bang things up. Now you have to be careful about where you aim. They're big shells, but if you're firing against angled battleships, for example, you still want to aim high. You want to get into the superstructure, and you want to try and be able to do as much damage as you can, kind of the same way you would with HE in a way. But the armor scheme, it's not great. I'll just put it that way. You don't want to show anything with big guns your side, and you don't want to show cruisers your side at medium or close range for sure. The speed of the ship, not great, 33 knots. I mean, it's not terrible, but you know, no torpedoes at all. And with an Italian ship, if you've got that smoke that you can pop and just run straight at them, that's pretty handy. So you don't have that. Now, why am I explaining all of this to you? Well, because let's get back to the game. When I hated this ship originally, it was because I was playing it wrong. I mean, just plain and simple, I was. Now, one of the things that we missed while I was showing you that is I did get a long-range shot. It was 18 kilometers. You can see the North Carolina there, kind of at Echo 8. And I popped the spotter plane, which is still active right now, I think, yeah. And I was able to get a 10,000 HP volley on the broadside of that North Carolina. From 18 kilometers out. That's not too shabby. Now, most of the shots with this thing, if you place your shots well, are going to be in the, at least in my experience, 5,000 or so damage range, and you're going to see a lot of that in this game. But you'll see it add up over time. Now, in this particular game, the Reds just get steamrolled, and that happens a lot, unfortunately. If you play this game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The luck of the die determines who's on your team, and you know, if you've got a team loaded with 35 to 45% players, and the other team has an average of 50 or 55%, you don't have much of a chance. And that's just my opinion. Your mileage may vary. And I know, you know, any ship on any given day and all that other stuff. But I stand by that statement. Some games you just don't have much chance to win. But in this one, it was the red guys that were on that team. Now, right now, they're only down the Shiratsuyu, but you're going to see here in a second that is about to change, and it's going to get really bad for them really fast. Now, that New Orleans just backed out their broadside. And he paid for that. Now, I'm going to stop this here for just a second. So what am I doing? Well, I'm pushing down, as you can see, kind of this way, because there's a lot of people down here. I've got 2 destroyers covering my flank. But I don't think I need to keep pushing this way. We've got basically most of the team right here. We've got an Amagi out here by himself, being chased by Ganaizenau. And another Ganaizenau here, which he may be just kind of pushing toward the camp, and maybe some long-range shots. But these destroyers are a threat to our Amagi. We've got our CV here, and this is, I think I need to turn around and go back this way and see if I can't help with this. Now, I still want to keep my distance, which you will see, but I think that's what I need to do. So I'm gonna be turning around and headed back that way. Now this Mogador, he's well, it's a very fast ship, of course, and these shells are going to fall well behind it. He was juking there, and I thought, well, if he continues to turn, he's going to slow down, but he didn't. Now they're Ganaizenau takes out our Yugamo. So we're down a ship. The bad guys are down 2 ships, and you know, this still looks like it could be a decent game, but when it starts to turn bad for the bad guys, it turns really bad. Now I'm going to turn my camera around, and this is kind of when I was playing the game, this is kind of when I realized, okay, we've got everything here. I need to turn around and go back and help the Amagi. And you can see I'm already rotating my guns. I want to get them to the other side of my ship. Now, why is that important? Well, as soon as I made the decision to turn, I knew I was going to be kiting out this way, right? Which is going to put my starboard side of my ship to everything red. So I wanted my guns facing over here, right? So while I'm going through the turn, I've already begun turning my guns. Now, if you're not sure about how to do that, just play with it a little bit in game. You'll figure that out. But it's kind of important to have your guns pointed to where you need them. I know a lot of players that are new, especially, will just kind of leave the guns and then worry about where to aim afterward. If you are in the middle of a turn and you're able to turn your guns to the side where you're going to need them, if you need them in a hurry, they'll already be there, which can be kind of a difference maker. Not so much in this game, but in some games it can make a big difference. Now I want to keep turning. I don't want to get really close to the CV, because if he gets detected and somebody puts a long-range shot like from the Minnesota on him, I do not want to be between him and the shells coming from the Minnesota. And another thing that I can say, if you've been playing any length of time, you've seen happen, maybe even to you. Yeah, and there's the detection right there. So I didn't want to be broadside to the Kaga. You can see my guns are all lined up for this side, and I'm pushing this way in the hope of being able to get guns on something. Now, Colorado, slow. Maneuverable, but slow. And I'm going to be able to get shots on the Ganaizenau. So I need to get out here ahead of the Colorado and see if I can't help our Amagi. So we trade there. Alon takes out their Kagero. Their Lightning takes out our Scharnhorst. Our Ruprecht takes out the Minnesota. And right now they're down 5 ships. We're still down 2. And I'm going to be able to get a couple broadside shots on this Gorizia now. Gorizia has pretty decent armor for the tier. Yeah, Olan takes out their lightning. And the Adriatico takes out our Gajamata. And he was kind of outgunned there, which he'll comment on there in a second. Now I'm going to pop Hydro in the event that there's a Torp threat. I have a few. I can afford to burn one here. If there's no Torp threat, that's fine. But I'm trying to position myself to be able to help Amagi, who's out there on that flank entirely by himself now. And the CV you can see is he's entirely focused on the other side of the map. Now, am I doing big damage against Kanais now? No, but I'm doing consistent damage. And we're almost 10 minutes into the game. This looks pretty convincingly like a win. And, you know, it would be easy to say this is a kind of a bad example because, you know, we're beating the bad guys so badly. But at the same time, it does kind of give you an idea, at least in my opinion, of how this ship can be played effectively. Now, why did I turn away from Gorizia now? Well, two reasons. One, yes, I have a Hydro up, but he does have torpedoes, and I don't want to get in torpedo range. And also, I want to avoid getting into my detection range when firing from smoke. So I'm going to start kiting away just a little. And you can see I'm not detected now. And I'll just keep putting broadside shots on him. There's a 6,000 more or less. And I'm just doing chip damage, but it all adds up. Now, Amagi, he's out there by himself. And I know that if we're able to finish off this Gorizia now, there's another 5,600. Then I need to rush up there and kind of get ahead between the Amagi and the destroyers. Now, Amagi finishes off the Gorizia now, so I'm just going to get out of here. So, what have they got up there? Adriatico, right? Mogador, and Riga. And I know that from looking at the mini-map, right? Last known position. So I'm going to get up here and see if I can help. Now, why am I kind of moving the ship to starboard? I want to leave a very narrow lane between these islands that you can see here. Now, that line, I can be detected. I'm going to narrow it even more. Now, why am I doing that? Because if the Riga comes here, probably isn't going to happen. I want to narrow the ability of him to get to my side, and this is a good way to do it. I can use the islands. I could turn in even more, and the only thing he could hit is kind of bow on. Now, he's got big guns, and they can do a lot of damage kind of regardless, but that's the reason. I also want to limit the opportunity for torpedoes to catch me. You can see the Hydro is no longer up. I'm detected. So what does that mean? Well, that means that somewhere in this line between the islands, which you can see here, or out here, is the destroyer. Now, if he was here, you can look on the mini-map. If he was here, I might detect him, right? So my guess is that he's up here. So I think he's up here, and that's what I'm going to ping, because I want the Amagi to know that that's where I think he's at. Somewhere out there. Now, why did I ping there? Because that's the line where my ship is detected. Now, you can see the Riga, but there's no way it was him, because he's behind an island. So the Adriatico is probably here. He could be here. But I'm still detected. So I'm guessing he's here chasing Amagi, trying to get torps on him. So I'm going to turn out, and I'm going to try and interrupt his ability to do that. Now, if he gets detected, I'll be able to get guns on him. Now, I have to be really careful here. Because the Riga, if he's pushing forward, which it kind of looks like he is a little bit. Now I'm detected again. So Adriatico's out there somewhere. But Riga, no, he's going to reverse. He doesn't want anything to do with Amagi's guns. You can see Amagi's in kind of a straight line from the likely... Okay, so we know Adriatico's right here. Amagi's positioned really well. Probably wouldn't eat more than one torpedo, if that. I have to be aware as our Ruprecht goes down to the Lexington. I have to be aware that I might be the victim of torpedoes if I'm not careful. Now, the Riga has radared, but I don't think he can get guns on me. And he may in a few seconds, but he can't right now. So it's just a destroyer. Now, right then, you saw that I was detected and then I wasn't. That tells me that the Adriatico, he's either backed into the smoke or he's turned. He was heading this way, and I was detected. Now I'm not. So that tells me that he might have gone like this and gone back around behind the smoke. So that's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing that he's done that. And he's maybe turning out. I'm just going to watch the smoke, see if it's getting any farther away. Oh, there he is. And he is turning out. And I'm just trying to gauge where he's going to go and put some shells on him. That's not as much as I'd hoped, but it's a little bit of damage. And it turns him away, and he's going to stop chasing the Amagi. Now I got to be careful for torps. See if I can't put a few more shells on him. And I also have to watch that Riga. Now I totally misjudged that. Because the Riga, if he pushes out, which he kind of is, he can absolutely wreck me if he gets my broadside. I'm liable to just hit the island, but I'm going to see if I can't do some damage to the Riga. He's pretty clever. He's just going to back up. Yeah, a non-pen. All right, so what am I going to do now? Well, I'm going to push. I'm going to guess the Adriatico is kind of still falling back a little bit, probably waiting for his torps to come back up. And I'm just going to see. Okay, so I've gone undetected. So I pushed in, so I want to get some idea where the Adriatico is. Now, you can see my detection radius is right here. Right? So it tells me he's outside that. So he's fallen back a little bit more. So I'm guessing he's here. And probably crossing this way. And I'll just see if I get detected again. I don't have to worry too much about the Riga. If he pops his nose out, he'll be able to get a shot on me, but as long as I'm angled, okay, so I'm detected, which tells me I'm probably right about where the Adriatico went. He's probably right there with the Riga now. Spotting, Riga's going to push out. I'm just going to keep my nose to the Riga. It's not that he won't do any damage, but he's not going to have my broadside. I'm also positioned reasonably well against torpedoes. I've got a hydro that's ready to pop anytime. And there's the Riga, kind of as expected. I'll get the shot off on him, turn in, mitigate the damage from him, and I'll just smoke up. Now, how long does it take me? Okay, so this is kind of important. Now, before, when I was at this range from the Riga and I was in the smoke, I was not detected, right? Because this should be safe. Why am I still detected? Well, that tells me the Adriatico's pushed up. So he's here now, somewhere in here. Because he's still got detection on me, which tells me he's close. He's closer than the Riga. So now I just need to keep my nose this direction, more or less, and watch for torpedoes and angle against the Riga. There's no harm in me firing. I'm already detected. Okay, now I know where the destroyer's at. And I'm going to try and thread this needle. Not able to, only eat one. It's not as bad as it could have been. And I'll just focus on the DD. Now I'm going to have some help here. I've got the Johann de Witt over there. And I never can really get a great shot on this guy. You can see my front guns and rear guns are not in sync as far as their reload cycle. And he's doing a good job of juking. Riga pops the radar to keep me lit up. That was just a whiff. Now I don't want to go to the left of the island, so I'm going to slow down here in just a second, and I want to come right. I don't want to leave broadside to any potential torpedoes from the Adriatico. And the de Witt finishes off the Adriatico, and now I got to get my nose swung around to the right. Because if he did drop torpedoes and I nose into that island, I'm going to eat them all. And you can see I switched to AP here because I was kind of hoping I was going to get a broadside shot on the Riga. My thinking was that he was going to want to angle to all of this. But that's not how it worked out. My AP on this ship is, it doesn't have much punch. I'll just put it that way. I should have stuck with the SAP, but I was playing what I considered the odds. I probably would have finished the Riga with SAP, but as it turns out, the AP is pretty ineffective. Because you can see he's turning out. Just going to angle his ship a little bit. Yeah, he's at 147 degrees now. I fire nice and high, so 3 overpens. Yeah, so he's got 183 HP, and yeah, that's frustrating. But somebody's going to finish him off. It's just not going to be me. Now I'm back to the SAP. I'm going to push in here and try and catch him. Now I know there's a DD up there, but I think he's still far enough away I don't have to worry about him too much. Still got 18,000 HP. I got to be careful I don't give up broadside at point blank range. Now I thought about firing on the Mogador here, but I don't, because I want to make sure I can get a shot on the Riga. And it's just a matter of whether or not somebody's going to beat me to it. And the Colorado takes out the Riga as the Riga takes out the Colorado. And now this is really it. I'm going to get the last shot on the Mogador. It's just going to happen pretty quickly. But anyway, it was a little bit of a blowout, as you can see, but it was fun, and I think it's a good example of how to play the Gorizia reasonably effectively. Thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.